Good morning, everyone. I'm Trey with the First Date Fix, and today we're going to be talking about the fact that love is not unconditional. I want you guys to do 3 things. Okay, now we've got that out of the way, let's get back to it, shall we? So, love is not unconditional. Now, what do I mean by that? In fact, I'm gonna get real with you guys. One of the things that sincerely scares the absolute out of me, it's the idea that you can meet someone, you can fall in love with someone, you can have some incredible dates, you can have some incredible conversations that develop such a rich and deep connection. You can develop such underlying feelings that you guys have such an incredible emotional connection. The two of you have moments where you look into each other's eyes and you're like, holy shit, I feel like I could be with this person forever. I feel like I'd like to have kids with this person. You could be in a situation where you have transformative dates where you've seen her in a new light and she's seen you in a new light. You can go to her family's house for dinner and have an amazing time and think to yourself, wow, like this could totally be my family. I could 100% marry into this. You could have moments of clarity and grandeur. You could have moments of wisdom where you've had just a terrible day at work and they've come and they've consoled you and they haven't necessarily given you an answer, but they've been able to make you feel better about the whole situation. You want to say hello, big guy? Okay, well, to each his own. You want to come bug me, but you don't want to say hello to the camera. All right. But essentially, you have moments in your relationship where you honestly feel like this is your person, this is the one. Oh my gosh, so many years of being in the dating wilderness and now I finally found my person. And then just like that, it's taken away completely. They're no longer your person. They don't live in your house. They no longer are in your bed. You don't wake up to them. You don't get to see the sun shining on. You don't get to see the sun. You don't get to see the sun shining on their face every single morning. Because you guys are over. Because you guys couldn't move past a certain thing. You guys couldn't move past a certain scenario. Your anger, your frustrations, your egos, your wants, your needs, unfortunately overcame what you guys at the time thought was eternal love. What you thought was unconditional love. That scares the shit out of me. I always think it's incredible how people can post on social media. People can talk about, just hanging out with my favorite human. Oh my gosh, like I love you so much, blah, 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 blah. And they don't shut up about it. And then a couple of months later, they're done. And they're talking smack to each other on social media. Or you're a friend of one of them and they're telling you how terrible that person was. Or you're with someone and a year later you see her with someone else. Or she sees you with someone else. And for that moment you think to yourself, bloody hell, like at one point I was gonna marry her. That scares the absolute crap out of me. And you want to know why it scares me so much? Because love is not unconditional. Where did the phrase unconditional love come from? Religion. Religion has promoted the ideology and paradigm that God's love is unconditional. Now, they're right. God's love is unconditional because he can do stuff like that, right? But we're human beings. The notion of unconditional love is not a real thing. It's something that we've been neurologically brainwashed into from a young age to believe that no matter what, love will conquer all. But before we even get into the notion of unconditional love, let's just talk about conditions in general. There are conditions to every single thing that you do. Every single thing you do has a condition. I'll give you an example. When you have a job, you get paid a significant salary on a condition that you perform specific things that your boss or company have told you. When you go to the store, you can get any single thing you want in that store on a condition that you pay for it. When you have friends, you can have some of the best friends in the world on the condition that you're a good friend. Who's going to be a good friend to you if you never text, you never call, you never invite them out, you never buy them around, you never tell them how awesome they are, you don't ever tell them how great they are doing at work. You rarely ever hang out with them. The only reason why people have friends is because it's on the condition that they're good friends back, on the notion of reciprocity. Family love, we want to believe, is unconditional. But if you're a mum and you have a son who is a convicted rapist and went into a primary school and smoked 37 kids, is your love unconditional then? Because unconditional love doesn't exist. There are conditions to every single thing that you do. Everything. Just think about it right now for 1 second. Think about one thing that doesn't have a condition, and every single thing has a condition with what you do. Because if there are no conditions, nothing has meaning. Nothing really has purpose. If I can just get into an MBA school, or if I can just get into an undergraduate degree without any conditions, it's not worth anything. Why would anyone want to hire someone who has a graduate degree if there was no prerequisites that they had to do to get there? There is a condition to every single thing that you do in life, and that is not mutually exclusive with dating. And I give you an example. Let's get into it. Love will always be conditional when it comes to relationships, because when you fall in love with someone, at the time you fall in love with who they are. You fall in love with the woman or man who makes you feel good, who gives you that sense of wisdom, who gives you that sense of love, understanding, empathy, who was a good listener. But when they stop doing those things, not immediately, but very slowly, you start to fall out of love with them, because the love you had for them was conditional, that they essentially remain the person that they are when you fell in love. But what a lot of people don't understand is, yes, there will always be conditions on a relationship, but the idea of a successful relationship and marriage is that these conditions, you guys grow together, and you are in a situation where you are having these discussions, where you are having communications about when you feel like the conditions might be changing. I give an example, right? The top 3 reasons as to why people get divorced are 1, money, 2, sex, duh, and 3, the person's changed, okay? We see it all the time. So my point being is that love does have conditions. Even though love is conditional, is there a way that you can prevent from being broken up with? Or is there a way that you can prevent essentially your marriage or your relationship spiraling out of control? Absolutely there is. And it will always come down to communication. I give an example. If I'm in a relationship with a woman, and if I'm in a relationship and from the beginning of the relationship, she has always said, have a great day at work. How was your day, honey? Oh, that happened? Oh, I'm really sorry. Typically when this happens to me, I do A, B, C, and D. And that's just something that she does, right? But let's say a year and a half, 2 years later, she stops doing that. And that was one of the things that made me fall in love with her. Now, I'm not saying that that's my condition. You must always kiss my ass and make sure that I have a great day at work. But I will say one of the reasons why I fell in love with you is because I felt like you always supported me. You always cared for me. You always took an interest in what I was doing. And lately, I don't feel like that's been coming from you. That way you're giving that person an opportunity to change. You're giving them an opportunity to realize that they're not perfect. Sometimes we slip up. Sometimes we forget that the person that we are in love with, in a relationship with, that we're married to, is the person that everybody wanted at one point, and we won them over. But we forget that sometimes because we have them, because they're in our lives, because they're in our bed. If you're in a situation where perhaps he used to hold the door, perhaps he used to think about these amazing, vibrant, and adventurous dates, you don't necessarily have to have the condition that unless he gives you amazing, vibrant dates on a weekly basis, then you're gonna break up with him. But you could communicate with him and say, hey, when we initially started dating, you and I went on these incredible dates. I miss going on those adventures with you. I don't mind planning with you. Do you want to plan them together? My point being is that there are always going to be conditions on a relationship or marriage, period. However, it's not a bad thing if you two are in a situation where you're communicating some of your needs and some things that might have changed, not for the better. You have to curb it before it gets worse, and you have to communicate them, and you have to communicate to them with the highest degree of listening, love, and empathy. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you understand that you and your relationship can improve. You in a dating scenario, if you just communicate some of your wants and needs, you're always going to be the better for it. And most importantly, every relationship, every dating situation can be fixed if you but communicate. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your morning.